All right. Welcome back, traders. All right. I know it's Easter Sunday here. Probably not going to get a lot of people on. Lots of people with family. Understandable. I just wanted to kind of cover the markets here tonight and give you guys a little bit of an update. 12-hour tether is still short, although we're kind of like teetering or like right outside of this. I would call it a rising wedge or maybe a channel. It just depends on how you draw it. It does look like there's a bit of bullish divergence here on the 12-hour, which could be not so good. It could be not so good if that plays out. The daily time frame is also kind of just sideways consolidating up here above the 50-week daily moving average. We're above all major moving averages here on the daily time frame, which leads me to believe that Tether is actually still kind of bullish. Bitcoin kind of, teetering around that 84, 85,000 range hasn't really had much strength at all from what I'm seeing. The macro isn't the best. The high time frames still kind of point down. Like the monthly time frame doesn't really give us any inclination to believe that prices are going to be necessarily going up in the coming months. In fact, it's possible that we maybe continue down. We might get like a daily 200-day moving retest or something, sort of back test this $87,000 to $88,000 level. Our daily is technically long right now with us above these regions. But like, what happens if we get up here and we get rejected? We probably come back down to test these lows, most likely. We're still in a downtrend since January. Now, from the bullish scenario is that we're above the 50-week moving average. All right. I think we're all good and clear until we start making closures below this 50-week MA. On a weekly time frame. So as long as Bitcoin's above and makes closures weekly candles above, 76 to 77K, I mean, I would remain net bullish on Bitcoin. The problem is your monthly time frame. Okay. Are we going to be able to combat this bearish divergence that we have and hold on the monthly? Like, it just looks like we just started making negative momentum. Now I realize, in September we barely made negative momentum, but we didn't really have bearish divergence, right? I mean, I guess technically we probably, I guess we did, but anyways, we didn't actually make a full-on cross down either on the MACD in September 24. Also, our RSI kind of dipped back into bullish territory here, and we're actually breaking this RSI level right now, which is kind of a cause for concern, right? That means we're losing our structure on the monthly time frame, and that could just mean that, well, RSI continues to potentially go down. I'm not saying that this is going to happen. It just, high time frames are, kind of suggesting maybe downside. We got these MFI sell signals coming in on the monthly chart. Right? High time frame is not telling you to buy. It's just telling you to sell. So that's Bitcoin, though, right? The only thing that could probably save what's happening here is the weekly chart. Okay. The weekly momentum here is starting to tick up. We haven't confirmed any sort of buy signal, though, yet on the weekly time frame. And so for us to really get some momentum in this market, we would need the weekly to cross up and confirm above the 20 line. So right now we have no weekly buy signal. So really we have no real momentum on the weekly time frame. Our shorter time frames, our 3-day, yes, you could argue that our 3-day is almost giving us that signal. It looks like we have a bit of bullish divergence here on the 3-day time frame. And this could turn into a signal. It hasn't produced one yet. Okay. I still think that it's possible, like I said before, for us to go up to touch and test this $92,000 region. Now, the problem, like I said before, is the high time frames. So the high time frames all point down. We're starting to maybe shift momentum on 3 days and weekly time frames, but nothing is confirmed right now. And so what could happen is something like this, where we get up to, 92K and we get rejected there. What happens? We're going to come back down, right? We'll lose that momentum that we started to build. Okay. And so that's kind of what I'm really paying attention to right now, is this type of price action. Now, okay, let's just say we end up having a ton of momentum come in when this move starts to happen, and we start closing candles back above 92K and multiple days and weeks above. Okay, that would be super bullish to see, right? But high time frame, just based on the price and moving averages, like the weekly time frame, I have no problem with Bitcoin sitting here right now. You can't necessarily just be bearish on Bitcoin until it actually breaks that weekly 50-week moving average. Okay. I would say everything else right now is kind of noise on this chart until we see that break, or it continue to hold, and we make higher prices. All right. That's really all I have to say about Bitcoin right now. There's nothing happening on this chart that's, I mean, we haven't seen any price action really yet. So just been sideways since the beginning of April here. And that's it. All right. Ethereum. Take a look at ETH real quick. The dog of the market for sure. All right. So if Bitcoin does make that move to 92K, all right, and we don't just start breaking down from here, I would say Ethereum has a chance to also make a move back up. And it could be a pretty significant move back up because you had a major breakdown here. And when you make those major moves down like that, you get what we like to call mean reversion trades. And yeah, obviously, you're going to probably run into some resistance here at 1800 and 2000. These are all levels right now for sure. All right. But if Bitcoin is going to start building momentum and have, I would say, a rather explosive move, then Ethereum will also start showing some strength. All right. And that's why we need to also pay attention to the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio. Now, this chart isn't exuding any strength at all. It's just been exuding lots of weakness since it broke down here in 2023 and it lost this range. It's just been down only for the ETH Bitcoin pair. All right. So some could sit here and argue and be like, well, hey, how could the bull run be over if Ethereum didn't really have any sort of major rally or didn't make a new all-time high? Okay, that's an argument. And lots of people are going to have that argument. And right this very moment in time, I also want to believe that, right? But until I start to see price action kind of construing that or displaying that, then you kind of have to just be watching this action, okay? Are we coming into value zones on the ETH Bitcoin ratio? Yes, we are. We're coming into a monthly demand zone right now. This is like the biggest support level that ETH Bitcoin ratio has on the chart. So if this area doesn't hold for ETH Bitcoin, there's a lot more downside for it, unfortunately. All right. And you would be looking at the golden mean ratio fib retracement if we ended up breaking this, this 0.017 or 0.156 region. All right, it would be this level here, but this is like one bounce area. This wouldn't even be really that strong. Okay. This, you can see we spent several months building some sort of base here. Okay. And the other thing to really pay attention to is your monthly RSI. Your monthly RSI is extremely, extremely oversold. It's at an 18 reading. All right. If I was looking at this asset as a normal asset, not as a ratio chart, and I thought that we were in a bull market, this would probably be the area where I would be looking to buy this asset on a positive monthly candle close. Which we don't have right now, by the way. Okay. We don't have a pin bar or a bullish engulfing candle printing right now. We have none of that. It is just a massive red candle. No wick. All right. If we started to see this wick up and really start to show buy pressure here, that would be a really good sign that we could see the rotation from Bitcoin into Ethereum. But we're not even seeing that right now, guys. All right. So I would just kind of sit back and watch this action and be patient. Because if we do end up taking out this range low, this ratio can continue to go lower. We could get like a month or two of like a bounce or something because we are so oversold on the RSI, and maybe just continue lower after that, right? If these markets aren't going to remain in a bull market and we're going to go into a bear market, that's kind of what we'd probably see, right? We'd see some bounces, some bear rallies, lower highs, continue lower, right? That's what it would look like. If we remain in this bull market and Bitcoin remains to hold above its 50-week moving average, then you got a shot at a potential alt run. Okay, that's what I'll say. Right now, this to me you don't see any rotation right now at all into ETH Bitcoin, like at all. You would see it on the monthly candle right now. We're almost through the whole month. We have what, 10, 11 days left. I don't remember how many days are in April, but yeah. So we just closed our weekly candle. Not a good one. Not a good candle. We're flashing buy signals, man. We've been flashing buy signals for like basically the last 2 months. We've been flashing buy signals. So nothing has come of it. You could just be buying all the way down and still be wrecked on your ratio trade right now. Okay. Like I said before, it would make a lot of sense if we were to see a reversal. It would be around this range, this 0.017 region. This has a lot of confluence on the chart. It's a major demand zone on the weekly, on the monthly. The monthly RSI is oversold. You guys get the point. You have lots of things on this chart that are telling you that this could be a potential buy zone for a rotation into Ethereum. All right? Cool. Pay attention to this ratio, okay? And also, we'll continue to watch Bitcoin and see what it ends up doing this week. I think that 3-day buy signal, if we do get that cross up, we will see a push on Bitcoin. All right. Like I said, that $88,000 to $92,000 region, we need to see a break above. All right. That is confluent with the daily 200-day moving average. And we need to see Bitcoin break back above its daily 200-day moving average to remain in an uptrend. Cool. That's all I got for ETH and Bitcoin. If you guys want to cover some altcoins or ask me about some altcoins, feel free to do so. Most of the altcoin market looks like absolute garbage, and that's the real truth. None of this market looks good right now. So hopefully you're all having a wonderful Easter, and you guys spent some quality time with your families. And I appreciate all you guys continuing to tune into my streams. I know these past few weeks, maybe even past few months of streams haven't been exciting. I don't really have necessarily good things to say or talk about, but you're seeing why, right? Like, I'm going to tell you what I see, and if I don't like what I'm seeing, then it is what it is, right? You guys know when I like what I'm seeing, I get excited about it, right? There's more energy behind the streams, right? But I think it's also good that I continue to be transparent and upfront about what I'm seeing, because otherwise people might necessarily make the wrong decisions. And I don't want to have that influence that you guys make wrong decisions. All right. Cool. Solana. Yeah, we can take a look at Solana. So Solana, interestingly enough, is holding above its weekly 200-week moving average, which typically weekly 200-week moving averages happen to be bottoms for lots of assets, specifically Bitcoin. I don't really know how the altcoin market really functions or works a lot of the time. You're seeing ETH break its 200-week moving average. It's been below its 200-week moving average here for months. So that just kind of goes out the window. But Solana has been relatively strong this whole cycle. And I had this channel drawn. It actually came down to the bottom of the channel, and they defended it. So that looks pretty good. You are actually almost producing a weekly buy signal. That's really strong to see. You're still waiting for your D line to cross up. This week is probably going to be a very interesting week for Solana. All right, this looks actually pretty good so far. We didn't get a cross down. Your momentum looks like it's poised to make a move, so that's good on Solana. You're getting your MACD cross potentially. It's starting to cross here on the MACD, the weekly, right? You're getting your first positive weekly histogram since January. That's promising. And so if we do head higher here, it makes sense that we go test, this 160 to 167 range. Now you have the weekly 50-week moving average as resistance right now, and that's right around that 160 to 170 region. And so that's kind of what I'd be looking at right now on Solana. If you do start taking that out and closing candles back above it, well, then you could talk about a push to the top of the range, right? Because then you're showing all that momentum, all that strength, and you probably do something along the lines of this. You get up here to 180s, maybe up to this fib extension, and then maybe you pull back a little bit and go sideways. And then you might get that move up later on after some consolidation. All right. But then reclaiming these ranges up here as support is something really strong to see. Okay. That hasn't happened yet, but we're starting to see momentum kind of come into this asset specifically. Looks pretty good. I got to say, it does look pretty good. And if Bitcoin can hold up and make moves to the, higher part of its range, or even reclaim that $92,000 to $94,000 region, well, then you got a really good shot at doing what I'm talking about right now. All right. So we'll see how this plays out. So Solana, I would say, it looks better. Looks a lot better than Ethereum, right? Probably looks a lot better than most altcoins. This asset's been really strong this whole cycle. So good for Solana. TEM and what is that? PI? Tempest AI. Okay. Ooh, your weekly, not the best close there, sir. Don't have the most data on this chart, but I can see what you're looking at here. You're looking at a channel. Yeah, you are sitting on some support. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you did get a bullish cross here. You barely got any sort of momentum off that bullish divergence. It actually just kind of got rejected. I would sit and see if you end up holding this range and go sideways a bit longer, okay? Because you are technically making higher lows than your January lows, right? Which that would show that'd be starting to show some accumulation, right? So from a technical point of view, this doesn't look bad. It just, you need to start to try to push up and take out these ranges, right? Before you can really make moves back to the upside. So I think you're good as long as you don't end up taking out, $32. Then you lose this channel and you're talking about major downside after that if you do something like that. So I think right now you're good. I would probably have a hard stop below this $32, or even, if you even want to be deeper, like $30, okay, on something like this. Because the top of your range here is like $90. Yeah, and if you end up breaking that, the odds of you going to 100 is pretty good, right? For a really good shot at going to $100 if you do something like that. Yeah, so just keep your eye on it. I wouldn't be too concerned with it right this very moment, as long as you end up holding these supports here. All right, and what's the other one? PL or PI? Is this it? IMP INJ Inc. This looks like a flap chart to me. Okay. All right, interesting. Okay, you're below all weekly moving averages. You're becoming oversold on the weekly. No edge yet, aside from just being oversold. Okay, your daily starting to show the divergence, right? You see it? Your daily starting to show the divergence. Okay, and this could take some time to build, right? But this could also just mean a mean reversion to about $90, and maybe you continue the downtrend, okay? You could end up making one more low, and that low actually would be confluent with this low right here. So maybe in the next coming days or weeks, you see this mean reversion to back test this breakdown around $90, because you have that daily bullish divergence. That's going to give the asset momentum to go back up and test that. All right. Now, if you're long-term buying this stock or something, then I think that's fine. If you really believe that this asset has some good value. I don't know what they do, but yeah, I mean, you've pulled back pretty dramatically here already. You're just not at any sort of support levels right now. You're just going to be reversing here just because your oscillators are oversold, kind of deal. Okay. And what you're really looking for is the $55 to $50 level, and that holding as support. Yeah. So I think it's fine if you're doing a long-term plan. You got earnings in 3 days. Maybe wait for your earnings or something. Just saying. Not financial advice. Earnings can fucking TA up, no problem. So All right. Yeah, we'll get to some of the PulseChain assets. We've seen some interesting action on PulseChain here this weekend. PulseChain itself made like a 30% move, which that's pretty good. But that asset is very beat up and very destroyed, so it doesn't really surprise me that we're seeing something like that. We'll look at DAI, which is the stable coin that is not stable right now. Here you go, man. We had this channel. It broke the channel. We got a massive capitulation down, and they candled it all the way back up. That is a lot of buying pressure coming back into this asset after something like that. It looks to be trying to recover right now. It is in recovery mode after that. You got like a low and like your second higher low. You can maybe potentially even call that a double bottom on the daily time frame. You got to break back above this neckline and start reclaiming some of these ranges to get back into your structure. But this could just be a massive capitulation event with a V-shaped bottom recovery. That would be the bullish scenario, right? The bearish scenario would be, well, this thing maybe just goes to zero and that's it. But it doesn't seem like that, because if it actually did go to zero almost and just got bought up. So just pay attention. This looks like something that might be having some continuation later on. Your daily is very oversold. You're flashing daily buy signals on it down here. I would hope you are. After that price action, you're 2 days oversold. No real edge here though. You don't really have like divergence yet. Your 3-day RSI also oversold. You made an attempt to rally, failed, came back into oversold territory here. You could argue that maybe you're starting to diverge here. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look the best, but I would give this a shot. I'd give this a chance at maybe starting to recover after something like that, after some major capitulation event like that. Wrap Bitcoin on PulseChain, sitting around 160s. I would say it's close to be breaking down the major structure here. I guess technically it hasn't done it just yet. Your weekly close, technically it did close below the trend line. Again, weekly bearish engulfing candle, back test rejection. But I mean, not that high volume. You can see that the volume is receding. If the rest of the PulseChain assets go up, this might just end up reclaiming and go sideways and then eventually recover at some point. I would say that this doesn't look anywhere nearly as beat up as PDAI on PulseChain. But yeah, I'm starting to flash, some weekly swing trend buy signals here for a move back up. Could take some weeks, could take some months to play out. If this ends up giving you a buy signal, you're nowhere near a buy signal on the weekly time frame right now. It's not even telling you that that's in the cards yet. The 3-day attempted to give you one. We did get an attempted rally and got rejected. That was what that rejection candle was here. This was an attempted rally into the 3-day 200-day moving average and rejected that $300 level, and then smacked it right back down. And here we are sitting back at the bottom of the range. I will say that the bottom of the range is still holding. We haven't really candled below this 150 level. If we start making candles below 150, I would bet on it going back to $80. Okay, that's what it is on the Wrap Bitcoin chart right now. That's it. In terms of upside, if we end up holding this range, you're probably going to go back up to test that $300 level again, and you are impending a 2-day death cross. You can see that the 50 is coming close to the 100-day moving average here. That's basically it. Anything else you guys want to look at? VKTX, sure. INJ, sure. Okay, VKTX. I mean, I must have charted this before. All right, yeah. So you got a reclaim of this level. Looks like on Friday. Yeah, snap back right back above the weekly 200. That looks interesting. Looks like a harmonic pattern as well on this. Nice little Gartley setup here. That looks pretty good, man. Okay. And you get, yeah, you have the weekly divert. So like this to me looks extreme. This looks a lot better than some of those other assets. You can see that you have momentum potentially shifting here, right? You can see the MACD, crossing up. That looks good on the weekly time frame. That means that if this follows through and you get follow through price action, you're going to see the asset go up to test, these levels up here, 38 to, $50. Okay. Without, you probably, break out or something and pull back, somewhere, make a higher low, inverse head and shoulder it, and then start to try to flip back above this major moving average. Just take some time, man. Okay. But you can see the weekly momentum shifting on the structure. That's really good. You can see that, right? That's good stuff, right? And the assets in a major macro uptrend, right? It's not like you're closing lows below $10 here. You're making higher lows on the trend. All right, yeah, that looks good. That looks decent. I'd give that a shot for sure. That looks good. As long as you hold that level there, that looks good. Nice. LLY, I'll check INJ here. That was actually requested first. INJ was actually looking a bit interesting. I was looking at it the other day around $7. Yeah, tag in the weekly demand zone there on INJ. You got major resistance here on 950. You really want to pop back above this level because then if you do, you can really see INJ go back up to like $14 pretty quickly. And that 200-week moving average is right around 1280s. If you start reclaiming that looks good. And your weekly here is starting to show you bullish divergence, and your wave trends clipping long on the weekly, right? That's really good to see on INJ. That looks good. Cool. Peanut. I know nothing about this coin, and I don't think I have the chart data. Is it on Sol? Okay, it is, right? It's on the DEX. Okay. Okay. Well, I would say you're probably okay to trade something like this as long as you make higher lows than 00078. Right? And that's really it. There's not really too much else to talk about with this. It's a meme coin. It looks like it might be starting to curl back up on the 2-day here. Okay, so that could give you some push. You need to get back above the 2-day, 50-week, the 2-day, to the 2-day, the 50-week moving average here on the 2-day chart. That is acting as resistance right now. And you want to break back above that level and start making candle closures above it. But just looking at the range, you're closer to the bottom of the range. You could take a trade down here and try to trade to the top of the range, which is about 120% move. And you set your stop loss below this low. That's what you would do if you were interested in trading this. And then, your long-term chart here, you could clearly see that, okay, well, you are outside of the long-term trend line, all right? So that's good. That means maybe some more consolidation before you do get that upside move. So that looks decent. Looks decent. You need some bids to come in on something like this, though, right? Cool. LLY, I'll take a look at it. Is that Eli Lilly? Yeah. All right. Eli Lilly looking pretty good, holding that weekly 200-week moving average, kind of tagging the moving average right there, but it looks like just a snapback rally. That looks really, really strong, really strong. Eli Lilly looks really good right here. Gotta say that looks really strong. Big snap down and then rally, insta rally off there. Yeah, they don't want this thing going much lower. All right, that looks really good. I'm sure the weekly is also trying to do the same. Yeah, you got deviation outside your weekly Bollinger Band here. Those are usually very good buy signals when you do get them, especially in a major uptrend. You got weekly bullish divergence on the RSI here. Yeah, this is really strong, guys. This looks really good. Okay. That looks really interesting. You're not getting your cross up just yet on the weekly, but maybe you're starting to get on your 3-day chart. There it is. It's starting to come in on the 3-day chart. Okay, so pay attention to this 3-day signal. If that actually ends up closing and crosses up, well, you're going to get a 3-day signal, which might turn into a weekly signal, which then might turn into, well, a test the top of the ranges, maybe a new all-time high later on, right? Could see another major, massive leg up on this thing is what that could translate into. All right, XRP. Okay, well, you're still extremely elevated here. I would say this asset's been holding on pretty well throughout this down sloping consolidation pattern that it's in right now. Yeah, I think it's fine as long as you're above your 3-day 200-day moving average. I mean, you held the daily 200 too. You're actually still above it. That's great. Holding above the daily 200 in an uptrend is what you want to see, guys. All right, that's strong. XRP is looking strong. All right, I would say your next major move, if we see continuation on something like this, is eventually a break of 3.25 to that $4 level, which is the 1272 major fib extension. And I have some crazy fib targets here, but your $4 level, if you break that, your $5.75 to $6 level, and then the gold mean ratio is around $10. But ultimately, if we do this whole structure, this whole pattern, an aggressive target, a super aggressive target could be like $20. Could be $20. I'm not saying it gets there. I would be scaling out at almost every one of these regions right here if you didn't already take some profit when they hit the all-time high. Okay. XRP looks strong. Okay. All right, what did I miss? Did I miss something here? The only real bullish thing about what's happening in these markets is the dollar index is getting absolutely destroyed and gold is ripping. That means inflation. You guys know what that means for inflation or what future inflation is going to be, right? If gold's sending like the way it is, the dollar's getting wrecked. That means they're pricing in lots more inflation later on to come. So that means risk assets should be going up, really, right? That makes the most sense, is that they should be going up. Unless we're going into some major crash or major recession right this very moment, which I don't think that's happening just yet. But we're probably close to that. All right. I've been live for about 40 minutes on an Easter weekend here. Appreciate all you guys tuned in. Hopefully you guys enjoying the content. When I start to see some of these charts line up and, after major breakouts and patterns that have developed, you can start to see why I'm saying the things I'm saying. It doesn't mean they're going to happen right away. Like this XRP pattern may not play out for another 6 months, right? It could take a lot of time. We could still see drawdowns on the asset if Bitcoin fails to break higher. But like I said, that 3-day was looking like it was giving a signal. It's pretty close to giving a signal. I think this week we're going to see what direction they want to take this market. All right. So stay tuned and keep a level head. I think all of this is still noise as long as Bitcoin's above the 50-week moving average, which is around that $76,000 to $77,000 region, which we're above. And that would mean we're still in a bull market. That's what that means to me. Okay. Hopefully that sums it up for you guys. And we'll catch you guys next week. Unless you guys have something else to look at, let me know. I got about 20 minutes if you guys want to look at some other stuff. All right. Well, I guess everyone's tuning out. You guys have a wonderful week. We'll catch you guys next week. Hopefully we see some positive price action. Bitcoin doesn't get rejected somewhere and disappoint us all, but we'll see how it goes. Thanks again, guys. Talk to you guys next week.